This audiobook is not designed to inspire temporary excitement. Its purpose is to condition your mind. Motivation comes and goes, feelings fluctuate. But consistent training reshapes how you respond when life becomes difficult. Most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they have never trained themselves for pressure. An untrained mind reacts impulsively. It panics when challenges appear. It hesitates at critical moments. It surrenders control to emotions, circumstances, and the opinions of others. And the moment control of the mind is lost, everything else begins to unravel. Life rarely tests knowledge first. It tests composure. It tests discipline. It tests whether you can remain steady when circumstances refuse to cooperate. Without mental training, those moments reveal every weakness. This audiobook was created for those exact situations, for the moments when anxiety begins to rise, for the moments when emotions demand immediate action, for the moments when a single reaction can damage your reputation, your finances, your relationships, or your self-respect. Success in life is not about always having the correct answer. It is about maintaining control long enough to make the correct decision. That is the essence of mental training, not motivation, not endless affirmations, not temporary excitement. Training. Just as muscles become stronger through resistance, the mind develops through structure, repetition, and discipline. Without these elements, the mind naturally becomes reactive. Reactive minds seek comfort at every opportunity. They avoid discomfort whenever possible. They struggle when uncertainty appears. They collapse under pressure because they have never been trained to withstand it. A trained mind operates differently. It pauses, it observes, it chooses, and within that pause lies true power. The purpose of this audiobook is to help you develop that pause, not occasionally, but consistently. You do not need to become a different person. You do not need to suppress emotions or become cold. What you need is stability. Remaining calm under pressure is not an inborn personality trait. It is a skill developed through practice. Discipline is not something a person either possesses or lacks. It is a capability built through standards, repetition, and daily choices. Clarity during chaos is not luck. It is the result of a mind that has learned to filter distractions and focus on what truly matters. Every challenging situation presents two paths. One path belongs to the person who stays in control. The other belongs to the person who simply reacts. The individual who remains in control may not achieve immediate success, but they preserve their leverage. The person who reacts emotionally may feel justified in the moment, but they often sacrifice long-term advantage. This audiobook is about making that shift, a shift from reaction to control, from impulse to intention, from emotional decision-making to disciplined action. Over the next 70 minutes, you will be introduced to 8 foundational principles of mental conditioning. Each chapter focuses on a practical skill, not abstract theory, not entertainment, and not empty philosophy. You will learn how to remain calm under pressure, how to control emotional responses, how to build endurance when discomfort appears, how to think clearly when situations become confusing, how to train your inner voice instead of being controlled by it, and how to remain consistent when motivation disappears. This journey is not about becoming flawless. It is about becoming dependable. Dependable under stress, dependable during uncertainty, dependable when circumstances become difficult. Because the version of yourself that emerges during challenging moments is ultimately the version that shapes your life. When your mind is trained, fear begins to lose its power. You stop asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" And you begin saying, "Whatever happens, I will remain in control." That shift alone can transform everything. This audiobook does not offer shortcuts. It does not promise overnight transformation. Instead, it offers something far more valuable: a system, a framework for thinking, a method for responding, a standard for how you show up every day. If you listen passively, very little will change. If you listen actively and apply these lessons, your internal standards will rise, and when standards rise, behavior follows. Throughout this audiobook, you will notice key principles repeated in different ways. That repetition is deliberate. Because repetition is the foundation of training. You do not build strength by lifting a weight once. You do not develop discipline through a single decision. You do not gain self-control by understanding an idea one time. Growth happens through repetition, through consistency, through returning to the same principles again and again. As you listen, do not rush. Allow each lesson to settle. Pay attention to the places where your current habits conflict with what you are hearing. That discomfort is not a problem, it is part of the process. By the end of this audiobook, you may not become a completely different person, but you can become more composed, more grounded, more intentional. And that is where genuine success begins. Not with motivation, not with confidence, but with a trained mind. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Master your inner world. Every meaningful victory begins internally, before it appears externally. Most people focus their attention on outcomes, achievements, and visible results. Very few dedicate time to training the space where those results are created, the inner world. Before a person loses externally, they often lose internally first. The internal defeat is subtle. It occurs when doubt interrupts concentration, when emotions override judgment, when hesitation replaces decisiveness. By the time failure becomes visible, the battle inside has usually already been decided. That is why mental training is not optional. It is fundamental. If your inner world lacks stability, no strategy can save you. If your mind remains chaotic, opportunities will never remain in your life for long. The first principle of mental mastery is simple. Win internally before expecting victory externally. Many people attempt to improve results while ignoring the system producing those results. They pursue better habits without addressing the mindset that abandons those habits during difficult moments. They seek confidence without developing the behaviors that create confidence. Confidence without control is fragile. Discipline without clarity becomes exhausting. Ambition without emotional regulation becomes self-destructive. Your inner game serves as the operating system behind every decision, habit, and action. When it is weak, even small obstacles appear overwhelming. When it is strong, chaos becomes manageable. Observe how people respond when life refuses to cooperate. Some panic, some complain, some blame others, some completely shut down. These reactions are not fixed personality traits. They are signs of an untrained mind. A trained mind does not eliminate emotion. It organizes emotion. It creates enough distance between an event and a response to allow conscious choice. That distance is priceless, because the moment you react automatically, you surrender control to emotions, circumstances, and external influences. Mastering your inner world means reclaiming that control. It means becoming someone who cannot be easily thrown off course, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. This strength is not natural, it is developed. Most people allow their inner state to be determined by whatever happens around them. News headlines, social media feeds, other people's moods, unexpected setbacks. They live in a constant state of reaction, and reaction mode is dangerous. In reaction mode, standards decline. Patience disappears. Long-term thinking is replaced by short-term relief. You say things that damage relationships. You make decisions that later require excuses. Mastering the inner game means leaving reaction mode behind. It means becoming proactive rather than passive with your mental state. And that process begins with awareness. You cannot control what you fail to notice. Most people never observe their internal dialogue. They never notice how tension enters their body under pressure. They never notice how quickly focus disappears during stressful moments. Training starts with observation. Notice your thoughts without judgment. Notice when your mind races ahead. Notice when it exaggerates worst-case scenarios. Notice when it seeks comfort instead of growth. Awareness is not weakness. It is the first expression of discipline. Once awareness develops, interruption becomes possible, and interruption is where real training begins. Whenever you feel the urge to react, pause, not to suppress the emotion, not to deny the feeling, but to observe it. Then ask yourself, What would a controlled response look like right now? That single question shifts power back into your hands. Controlled responses rarely appear dramatic. They do not provide instant relief, but they preserve your long-term position. Emotional reactions feel powerful for a moment. Controlled actions create power over a lifetime. This is where many people lose the inner battle. They choose relief instead of respect, expression instead of effectiveness, comfort instead of control. A trained mind understands a powerful truth. Every situation contains two separate realities, the external event and the internal response. You may not control the event, but you always control the response. The moment you confuse those two things, you lose leverage. People often say, "He made me angry. She stressed me out. That situation forced me to act." These statements seem harmless, but hidden within them is surrender. The moment you assign responsibility for your internal state to external forces, you give away your power. Mastering the inner game requires eliminating that mindset. Nothing forces you to react. You react because the pause between stimulus and response has not yet been trained. The good news is that pause can be built, and once it is built, everything changes. At the beginning, it will feel uncomfortable. You will notice a strong urge to respond immediately, to defend your position, to justify your actions, or to prove your point. That urge is not a problem. It is the signal that training is taking place. Just as sore muscles indicate that physical growth is occurring, mental discomfort often indicates that your inner discipline is being tested and strengthened. Most people avoid this discomfort. They distract themselves. They rationalize their reactions. They tell themselves, "That's simply who I am." But that statement is misleading. Your identity is not fixed. The version of you that appears under pressure is the result of training. Mental strength is developed through small, repetitive actions that often seem ordinary and unimportant. You do not wait for major life events to practice self-control. You practice during everyday frustrations. You practice while sitting in traffic. You practice during difficult conversations. You practice when plans are delayed. You practice when people misunderstand you. These situations are not obstacles to your progress. They are the environment where progress is built. If you cannot maintain composure during small challenges, you will not suddenly become composed during larger ones. This is why every victory begins internally. Each time you pause instead of reacting impulsively, you strengthen a new belief about yourself. I am someone who remains in control. Over time, that belief becomes part of your identity, and identity compounds. Gradually, noticeable changes begin to occur. Your body remains calmer when pressure rises. Your breathing returns to normal more quickly. Your thoughts become more organized and focused, not because life has become easier, but because your personal standards have increased. Standards are the foundation of the inner game. A standard is a principle you follow regardless of your mood or circumstances. For example, I do not raise my voice to feel powerful. I do not rush important decisions simply to escape discomfort. I do not explain myself when silence is the stronger response. At first, these standards may feel restrictive, but over time, they create freedom. Freedom from emotional chaos, freedom from unnecessary regret, freedom from conflicts that never deserved your attention. Mastering the inner game also requires learning how to choose your battles. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion requires a response. Not every disagreement deserves your involvement. An untrained mind feels compelled to react to everything. A trained mind becomes selective, and selectivity is a form of strength. When you stop responding to every distraction, your attention becomes more valuable. And wherever your attention consistently goes, your life eventually follows. Another essential component of the inner game is patience. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is maintaining control while allowing time to do its work. Impatient minds attempt to force outcomes. They speak before they have enough information. They act before the right moment arrives. Without realizing it, they reveal insecurity. Patient minds operate differently. They observe, they analyze, they wait for alignment, and when the moment is right, they act deliberately. Timing itself is a mental skill. The ability to wait without becoming anxious is evidence of inner stability. That stability changes how others respond to you. People naturally test boundaries. Often they do so without even realizing it. They can sense emotional reactivity. They can also sense calmness. When people sense reactivity, they push further. When they sense calm confidence, they become more cautious. This is not manipulation. It is human nature. A strong inner game creates quiet authority, not the type of authority that constantly seeks attention, the type that naturally earns respect. Respect is rarely built through intensity. It is built through consistency. Consistency in your tone, consistency in your decisions, consistency in your behavior when circumstances become difficult. And that consistency always begins internally. Winning the inner game does not mean becoming emotionless. It means refusing to let emotions dictate your behavior. You can experience anger without acting recklessly. You can experience fear without retreating. You can experience uncertainty without becoming paralyzed. That separation between feeling and action is mastery. The objective of mental training is not to eliminate emotions. The objective is to ensure emotions never take control of your actions. Once you understand this principle, your relationship with yourself changes. You stop fighting your emotions. You stop trying to feel calm every second of every day. Instead, your focus shifts toward control. Control is steady. Control is balanced. Control is dependable. Before moving forward, understand one thing clearly. Every external achievement is preceded by an internal victory. If you lose control of your inner world, no strategy will consistently save you. But if you master your inner world, even setbacks become manageable. This is where real growth begins, not with confidence, not with motivation, but with control. In the next chapter, we will explore why discipline, not emotion, is the true foundation of mental strength, and why relying on feelings alone is one of the fastest ways to lose direction in life. Chapter 2. Discipline over feelings. Most people allow their feelings to determine their actions. They wake up each morning and ask themselves how they feel. Then they decide what they will or will not do based on the answer. That habit quietly destroys potential. Feelings are unstable by nature. They change based on sleep, nutrition, stress levels, praise, rejection, and countless circumstances beyond your control. If your actions depend on your feelings, consistency becomes impossible. This is exactly why discipline exists. Discipline is not about forcing yourself through life. It is about removing unnecessary choices from moments where choices create weakness. A disciplined person does not debate every action. They follow established standards. An untrained mind constantly negotiates with itself. I'll do it later. I don't feel motivated today. I'll begin once I'm inspired again. Those conversations may appear harmless, but they slowly destroy self-trust. Every time you delay action because of temporary emotions, you teach your mind that comfort holds authority. And once comfort becomes the authority, discipline begins to disappear. The truth is straightforward. Feelings are information. They are not instructions. They provide insight into your internal state. They do not determine your next move. The moment feelings become instructions, behavior becomes reactive and unreliable. Strong individuals understand this distinction. They feel resistance and continue moving forward. They feel fear and continue taking action. They feel boredom and remain consistent. Not because they lack emotions, but because they understand something many people never learn. Progress does not require motivation. Progress requires standards. A standard is a commitment you honor whether you feel like it or not. You do not brush your teeth only when inspired. You do not stop at traffic signals only when motivated. You do not fulfill important responsibilities only when you feel excited. Those actions are automatic because they are supported by standards. Mental discipline functions in exactly the same way. You decide in advance who you are. You decide in advance how you behave. Then you follow through regardless of your emotional state. This approach removes friction from your life. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" you begin asking, "Does this align with my standards?" That single shift simplifies decision-making. A large percentage of emotional exhaustion comes from constant internal arguments. Indecision consumes more energy than action. Discipline reduces that mental noise. It creates predictability within your own behavior, and predictability creates trust. Not trust from other people first, trust from yourself. Self-trust is one of the most powerful forms of confidence. When you trust yourself to follow through, overthinking decreases. The need for constant reassurance disappears. Second-guessing becomes less frequent, and action becomes easier. This is why disciplined people often appear confident. They are not wondering who they will be today. That decision was already made long ago. Feelings still exist, but feelings no longer have the final vote. This becomes especially important during difficult times. Pressure magnifies emotions. Stress increases mental resistance. Fatigue makes consistency more challenging. And those are the moments when standards matter most. During pressure, you do not rise to your highest potential. You fall to the level of your discipline. If your discipline is weak, pressure will expose every weakness. If your discipline is strong, pressure will strengthen your performance. Many people misunderstand discipline. They view it as punishment. They associate it with suffering and restriction. The reality is completely different. Discipline creates freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from emotional instability. Freedom from being controlled by temporary feelings. Freedom from repeatedly starting over. Every time you choose discipline over temporary emotion, you strengthen your internal authority. You teach your mind that action is not a matter of preference. You teach yourself that standards are not open for negotiation. Initially, this process feels uncomfortable. Your mind will push back. It will search for excuses. It will magnify feelings of fatigue. It will exaggerate discomfort. That resistance is completely normal. It is simply the old version of you losing influence. The objective is not to battle every feeling. The objective is to stop treating those feelings as commands. You can recognize discomfort without allowing it to dictate your actions. That ability alone can transform your life. With time, something remarkable begins to happen. The resistance becomes quieter. The internal arguments become shorter. Taking action requires less effort, not because your emotions suddenly improve, but because discipline has assumed leadership. You stop depending on emotional highs to perform. You become steady, and steady people succeed over long periods. They do not burn brightly and then disappear. They do not vanish when challenges arise. They do not require constant motivation or encouragement. They simply continue moving forward. That consistency creates momentum. Momentum shapes identity. Identity strengthens discipline, and discipline reinforces consistency. Eventually, it becomes a powerful cycle. Once that cycle is established, life becomes simpler, not necessarily easier, but simpler. You stop obsessing over how to feel better. Instead, you focus on what needs to be done. That shift represents maturity. True discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about becoming dependable. Dependable to your goals, dependable to your principles, dependable to the person you are working to become. In every situation, your emotions will attempt to take the lead. Allow discipline to lead instead. In the next chapter, you will discover why calmness is a competitive advantage and why people who remain composed under pressure often control outcomes that others cannot. Chapter 3. Stay calm under pressure. Pressure does not create weakness. Pressure reveals it. When pressure appears, it does not transform who you are. It simply exposes the level of preparation and training that already exists beneath the surface. Many people believe calmness is something you either naturally possess or permanently lack. They view it as personality, temperament, luck. That belief keeps them powerless. Calmness is not an inherited trait. It is a skill. And like any valuable skill, it can be developed through training. When pressure arrives, the body responds before the mind. Breathing becomes shallow. Muscles tighten. Thoughts begin to accelerate. If these signals go unnoticed, control is often lost before you even realize it. When the body enters panic, the mind usually follows. This is why calm begins with awareness rather than willpower. You do not force yourself to be calm. You create conditions that make calmness possible. Untrained minds attempt to overpower pressure. They tense up, they rush, they ignore warning signs. That strategy may work briefly. Eventually it breaks down. Trained minds take a different approach. They slow the moment down. They expand awareness rather than narrowing it. They reduce internal urgency. They stabilize themselves before making decisions. This is not passivity, it is strategy. Calmness creates options. Panic removes them. In stressful situations, acting quickly can feel powerful, but speed without clarity is dangerous. Many poor decisions are made rapidly rather than thoughtfully. Calmness allows you to identify what truly matters. While others rush, you observe. While others become emotional, you remain centered. That neutrality creates leverage. Pressure affects everyone. The difference lies in how people respond to it. Those who remain calm naturally become anchors, decision makers, leaders, not because they are louder than everyone else, but because they are steadier. Steadiness communicates confidence, even when uncertainty exists internally. And this distinction is important. Calmness is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear dictate behavior. You can experience pressure and still think clearly. You can feel nervous and still act effectively. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting to feel calm before taking action. That moment rarely arrives. Calmness is developed through exposure, not avoidance. You do not build calmness by running away from stress. You build it by remaining present inside stressful situations, one small challenge at a time, one controlled exposure at a time. Whenever something triggers you, that moment is not failure, it is training. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. Instead of escalating the situation, you breathe. Instead of surrendering to emotion, you ground yourself. Grounding is practical. Slow your breathing. Drop your shoulders. Relax your jaw. These physical actions communicate safety to the brain. They send a message. We are not in immediate danger. As the body settles, the mind regains control. This sequence matters. Under pressure, the mind does not calm the body first. The body calms the mind. Ignoring this reality creates frustration. Many people repeatedly tell themselves to relax while their body remains trapped in a fight-or-flight response. That approach rarely succeeds. Training calmness means working from the outside inward. Over time, your nervous system adapts. Situations that once felt overwhelming become manageable, not because pressure disappeared, but because your capacity to handle it expanded, and tolerance is a form of strength. People who can tolerate pressure can also tolerate responsibility, complexity, uncertainty, and growth. That is why calmness becomes a competitive advantage in business, in relationships, in negotiations, in conflict, in leadership. Whenever others lose clarity, you gain it. While others speak impulsively, you choose your words carefully. While others force outcomes, you control timing. And timing often determines outcomes. Many conflicts grow unnecessarily because nobody remains calm long enough to de-escalate them. The calm individual controls the emotional temperature of the room. That influence is subtle, yet powerful. It changes how others behave. People slow down. They mirror your energy. They reconsider their assumptions. This is influence without force. Calmness also protects you from regret. Most regret originates from emotional decisions. Words spoken too quickly, actions taken too soon, reactions made without reflection. Remaining calm creates the space needed to act according to your values. That alignment strengthens self-respect, and self-respect strengthens your inner foundation. Eventually, calmness becomes your default response, not because life became easier, but because you stopped feeding unnecessary urgency. Much of what people call urgency exists only in the mind. Much of what people call pressure has been exaggerated. A trained mind recognizes this. It understands that very few situations require an immediate reaction. Most situations require patience. The ability to pause during pressure is one of the highest forms of discipline. It separates those who are controlled by circumstances from those who remain in control of themselves. Remember this moving forward. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control, and control wins where chaos fails. In the next chapter, you will learn how reactions surrender power and how mastering your responses can transform every interaction in your life. Chapter 4. Control your reactions. Reactions often feel automatic, but they are not uncontrollable. They are learned patterns, and like every pattern, they can be retrained. Most people assume quick reactions are a sign of honesty. They believe immediate expression equals authenticity. They mistake emotional expression for strength. In reality, uncontrolled reaction is often surrender. The moment you react without thinking, you hand authority to whatever triggered you. A remark, a delay, a certain tone of voice, an unexpected situation. The trigger becomes the leader, and you become the follower. Strong minds reverse this dynamic. They do not eliminate reactions entirely, they simply delay them, and that delay changes everything. It is the difference between being provoked and being powerful. Reactions shrink space, responses create it. Space creates options, and options restore control. This is why the pause matters so much. Whenever something triggers you, your first instinct is usually speed. You want to answer immediately. Defend yourself. Explain your position. Push back. Speed can feel powerful, but speed fueled by emotion is rarely strength. The pause feels uncomfortable because it interrupts a familiar habit. Your mind will pressure you. It will whisper, "Say something right now. Do not let this go." If you wait, people will think you are weak. But those thoughts are misleading. Silence rarely weakens your position. Uncontrolled reactions often do. People respect individuals who are not easily shaken. They recognize emotional stability. They recognize self-command. And that is why highly reactive people are often easy to manipulate. They reveal every trigger. A trained mind does not. This does not mean becoming distant or emotionally cold. It means deciding when and how to engage. You do not need to win every argument. You need to maintain your composure. Composure changes the dynamics of every interaction. When you refuse to react impulsively, other people often become more emotional. They expect resistance. They expect drama. They expect a reaction. When it never arrives, they lose momentum. You gain it. This is not manipulation. It is simply the natural consequence of self-control. Reactivity also distorts perception. As emotions rise, awareness narrows. You listen less carefully. You make more assumptions. You misunderstand intentions. This is why conflicts escalate. Two reactive minds create chaos. One controlled mind creates stability. And stability changes outcomes. The goal is not emotional suppression. Suppression creates pressure. The goal is observation. Observe emotions without immediately acting upon them. Observation weakens emotional control. Whenever you notice a reaction beginning to form, identify it internally. Anger, defensiveness, impatience, frustration. The moment you name the emotion, you create distance from it. And that distance is where control begins. Giving a name to an emotion creates separation from it, and separation restores control. The moment control returns, choice becomes possible. Once you have a choice, you can respond according to your principles instead of your impulses. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all, not because you are avoiding the situation, not because you are afraid, but because you are exercising restraint. Restraint is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Many people mistake it for weakness. In reality, restraint is power held back until the right moment. And power applied at the right time is always more effective than power released immediately. This principle applies to every area of life: conversations, professional environments, conflicts, negotiations, relationships. The people who react first often reveal the most. The people who wait usually control the frame, and whoever controls the frame often influences the outcome. Mastering your reactions also protects one of your most valuable resources: energy. Every emotional reaction consumes mental energy. Reactive individuals constantly drain themselves. They spend time fighting battles that never mattered. They argue over things that deserve no attention. They exhaust themselves responding to every trigger. Controlled individuals operate differently. They preserve their energy for situations that genuinely matter. That conservation compounds over time. Less regret, less stress, more clarity, more effectiveness. As time passes, your reactions naturally begin to slow down, not because you are forcing yourself to be restrained, but because restraint becomes part of your identity. You begin to think, I am someone who does not surrender power unnecessarily. That identity is powerful. It makes you difficult to shake, difficult to pressure, difficult to provoke, difficult to manipulate. And in a world overflowing with distractions and emotional noise, that is a significant advantage. When you learn to control your reactions, you gain control over much more than isolated moments. You influence your direction. You shape your reputation. You improve your outcomes. In the next chapter, we will explore why mental endurance is built through discomfort and how remaining present through difficulty creates lasting strength. Chapter 5. Build mental endurance. Mental endurance is not about intensity. It is about persistence. Many people can push themselves hard for a short period of time. Very few can remain consistent when discomfort lasts longer than expected. That difference determines results. Mental endurance is the ability to remain committed when motivation disappears, when progress seems slow, when effort feels unnoticed, when rewards are delayed. This is where most people quit, not because they are incapable, but because they become uncomfortable. The human mind naturally seeks relief. It searches for comfort, distraction, escape. Whenever discomfort appears, an untrained mind interprets it as danger. This isn't working. This is too difficult. I should stop. Those thoughts can feel convincing, but they are not reality. They are resistance. And resistance appears whenever growth begins. If you retreat every time resistance appears, you teach your mind to withdraw whenever challenges emerge. Mental endurance is developed by remaining present inside discomfort without immediately looking for an exit. This does not mean forcing yourself endlessly. It means refusing to quit at the first sign of unease. Discomfort exists on a spectrum. The first level of discomfort is usually harmless. It is simply your nervous system adapting to effort. When you quit too early, you teach your mind that effort is threatening. When you stay slightly longer, you teach your mind that effort is manageable. That lesson accumulates over time. Endurance develops gradually. You do not become mentally strong through one dramatic act. You become strong through repeated exposure to manageable discomfort that you choose not to avoid. This principle extends far beyond physical effort. Mental endurance appears in concentration, in patience, in delayed gratification. Can you remain focused on a difficult task without constantly searching for relief? Can you tolerate boredom without reaching for entertainment? Can you continue working when progress is invisible? These are all tests of endurance. Unfortunately, modern life trains the opposite. Instant feedback, constant entertainment, immediate gratification, continuous stimulation. These conditions weaken the mind's ability to remain engaged with effort. A trained mind resists that pull. It creates boundaries. Not because comfort is bad, but because comfort that has not been earned gradually weakens resilience. Endurance is built whenever you choose the more difficult option, while an easier alternative is available. Remaining focused instead of switching tasks, finishing instead of abandoning, waiting instead of rushing. These choices appear insignificant, but they gradually shape identity. You begin to see yourself differently. I am someone who stays. That identity transforms how you approach challenges. Instead of asking, how can I escape this? You begin asking, how can I remain steady? Remaining steady does not mean ignoring limitations. It means learning the difference between discomfort and damage. Discomfort strengthens, damage weakens. Understanding the difference is part of the training process. Most people never discover that difference because they leave too soon. Mental endurance also protects against emotional collapse. When discomfort becomes familiar, emotional fluctuations lose much of their power. Stress becomes less intimidating. Pressure becomes more manageable. That familiarity creates calmness. You stop panicking whenever life becomes difficult. Instead, you trust your ability to endure. And trust in your own endurance is powerful. It reduces anxiety. Because anxiety thrives on uncertainty. When you know you can withstand difficulty, fear begins to lose influence. Endurance also improves decision-making. Discomfort creates an urge to act quickly, to escape uncertainty, to force closure. Mental endurance allows you to wait, and waiting prevents mistakes. Many poor decisions are not caused by a lack of intelligence. They are caused by a lack of endurance. People cannot tolerate uncertainty long enough to understand the situation clearly. A person with mental endurance can hold tension without demanding immediate resolution. That ability consistently produces better outcomes. Over time, endurance changes your baseline. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become normal, not because the challenge became easier, but because you became stronger. This is one of the quiet transformations most people never experience, because they stop too soon. Mental endurance does not seek recognition. It does not need applause. It reveals itself through consistency. Consistency builds trust. Trust creates momentum. Momentum changes the direction of your life. When you develop endurance, you stop asking how long something will take. You commit to remaining engaged until it is complete. That commitment simplifies life. No endless evaluating, no emotional bargaining, no constant questioning, just presence, effort, continuation. Mental endurance is not dramatic. It is dependable, and dependability wins more often than intensity ever will. The next chapter will explore how clarity becomes possible even during chaos, when the mind learns to filter distractions and focus on what truly matters. Mental endurance also changes your relationship with failure. An untrained mind sees failure as a signal to stop. You stop demanding immediate results and begin respecting the process itself. Process-oriented thinking is a sign of maturity. An immature mind constantly asks, "What am I getting from this right now?" A mind with endurance asks a different question. Who am I becoming because of this? That question changes everything. It changes your priorities. You stop chasing short-term approval. You stop depending on quick validation. Instead, you begin building long-term capacity. And capacity is far more valuable than talent. Talent without endurance often becomes wasted potential. Endurance without exceptional talent can still create remarkable results. That is why endurance levels the playing field. It allows ordinary individuals to achieve extraordinary outcomes simply because they remain committed longer than others are willing to. Most competition disappears when endurance is high, not because other people lack ability, but because they remove themselves from the game. They choose comfort, they choose distraction, they choose immediate relief. You choose to remain, and remaining changes identity. You begin to tell yourself, "I don't quit when things become uncomfortable. I don't require instant rewards. I can handle difficult situations." Over time, those beliefs become reality. Your tolerance expands, your confidence becomes more stable, your emotional reactions become less intense. Mental endurance also improves your patience with other people. When you learn to tolerate discomfort within yourself, frustration from the outside world loses much of its power. Delays bother you less, mistakes irritate you less. Imperfections become easier to accept. This makes you easier to work with, more effective as a leader, more composed during conflict. People naturally feel safer around individuals who are not easily shaken, and that sense of safety creates influence. True influence is not created through force, it is created through steadiness, and steadiness is simply endurance made visible. As you continue developing these skills, remember one important truth: endurance is built quietly. Few people celebrate consistency. Few people applaud patience. Few people notice discipline in the moment. But life rewards all of them relentlessly. Those who remain present, those who remain disciplined, those who remain engaged, eventually outlast those who rely solely on intensity. Mental endurance is not flashy. It is not glamorous, but it is effective. And effectiveness wins over the long term. Chapter 6. Think clearly in chaos. Chaos itself does not destroy outcomes. Confusion does. Most people believe chaos exists only outside of them. Too many responsibilities, too many opinions, too much information, too many demands. But chaos becomes dangerous only when it enters the mind. A chaotic environment can still be navigated successfully by a clear thinker. A peaceful environment becomes useless when the mind itself is disorganized. This is why clarity is not dependent on circumstances. It is dependent on training. An untrained mind responds to chaos by accelerating. It rushes decisions. It jumps between tasks. It consumes more information in the hope that certainty will appear. But certainty rarely emerges from information overload. More input without structure creates more confusion. A trained mind responds differently. As chaos increases, it slows down. It reduces unnecessary inputs. It narrows its focus. It simplifies. That ability separates people who perform under pressure from those who collapse beneath it. Clear thinking is not primarily about intelligence. It is about restraint. The restraint to avoid reacting to everything. The restraint to avoid solving every problem simultaneously. The restraint to avoid confusing urgency with importance. Chaos creates the illusion that everything matters immediately. Every task feels critical. Every message feels urgent. Every problem demands attention, but attention is limited. If you give it to everything, nothing receives enough of it. Clear thinkers guard their attention carefully. They understand a simple truth. You cannot think clearly while constantly switching focus. Constant switching may feel productive, but it fragments attention, and fragmented attention creates fragmented thinking. Fragmented thinking leads to shallow decisions. Shallow decisions create larger problems later. Clarity requires depth. Depth requires focus. Focus requires elimination. And elimination is uncomfortable. Because elimination requires saying no. No to distractions. No to unnecessary information. No to opinions that add confusion rather than value. An untrained mind resists elimination because it creates anxiety. What if I miss something important? What if I overlook a critical detail? What if I make the wrong choice? Those questions may sound responsible, but often they keep people trapped. Clear thinkers accept a different reality. You cannot eliminate all risk, but you can eliminate noise. Noise is anything that does not meaningfully affect the decision. Most information falls into that category. It adds anxiety without adding clarity. A trained mind asks one powerful question: what matters most right now? Not 5 things, not 10 things, one thing. That single question cuts through confusion. Once the priority becomes clear, everything else finds its proper place. Secondary does not mean unimportant. It simply means not right now. This sequencing is powerful. Many people become overwhelmed because they treat every responsibility as simultaneous. Clear thinkers operate sequentially, one decision at a time, one task at a time, one problem at a time. This approach reduces cognitive load, and reduced cognitive load improves judgment. Judgment is what chaos truly tests. Under pressure, the brain naturally searches for shortcuts. It relies on emotion, assumptions, biases, habits. Without training, these shortcuts create predictable mistakes. Clear thinkers slow the process just enough to avoid them. They resist rushing to conclusions. They avoid filling gaps with assumptions. Instead, they ask better questions. What do I actually know? What am I assuming? What is within my control right now? These questions ground thinking in reality, and grounded thinking stabilizes action. Another critical component of clarity during chaos is emotional regulation. Strong emotions distort perception. Fear magnifies danger. Anger narrows perspective. Excitement hides potential risks. When emotions operate unchecked, clarity disappears. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means preventing emotions from becoming the sole interpreter of reality. A trained mind can acknowledge emotions without surrendering to them. I feel pressure, but I can handle this. I feel uncertain, but I do not need an immediate answer. That internal dialogue matters because language shapes perception, and perception shapes decisions. When your internal language becomes dramatic, your thinking becomes dramatic. When your internal language remains grounded, your thinking becomes stable. Chaos also tests patience. When circumstances are unclear, the desire to act often increases. Action creates the feeling of control, but premature action frequently creates additional problems. Clear thinkers understand timing. They know when to move, and they know when to wait. Waiting is not passivity, it is observation. Observation reveals patterns. Patterns reveal direction. Direction creates confidence. Rushing skips this entire process. Many mistakes occur not because people lacked effort or intelligence. They occur because action happened before clarity arrived. Clear thinking respects timing. It tolerates uncertainty without panic. This ability to tolerate ambiguity is rare. Most people crave certainty. They want answers immediately. And when certainty is unavailable, they manufacture it. They create stories. They invent explanations. They convince themselves of conclusions that reduce discomfort. Those conclusions may feel reassuring, but they often create errors. Clear thinkers resist that temptation. They remain neutral for longer, and neutrality improves accuracy. Accuracy improves outcomes. Another important part of clarity is mental decluttering. External chaos often reflects internal clutter. Too many unfinished tasks, too many unresolved thoughts, too many open commitments. Every open loop consumes attention. Clear thinkers close loops intentionally. They write things down. They organize information externally. They do not depend entirely on memory during stressful periods. This creates mental space, and space is essential for clarity. When the mind becomes overloaded, even simple decisions feel exhausting. Reducing mental load restores flexibility. Clarity also depends on values. When values are unclear, decisions become complicated. When values are clear, decisions become simpler. A trained mind understands its priorities. It knows what matters. It knows what does not. It knows what is non-negotiable. These priorities function like filters. They automatically remove unnecessary options. Without filters, everything appears equally important. With filters, decisions become easier, and chaos loses much of its influence. Clear thinking is also strongly connected to physical condition, poor sleep, poor nutrition, chronic stress. All of these significantly reduce mental clarity. Mental training includes respecting the body, not perfectly, but consistently. A stable body supports a stable mind. Ignoring physical well-being creates avoidable confusion. Clear thinkers do not rely entirely on willpower. They design environments that support clarity. They reduce distractions. They establish routines. They protect periods of focused work. This is not rigidity. It is intentional design. Good design prevents chaos from overwhelming attention. Over time, clarity becomes a habit. You begin noticing confusion earlier. You recognize noise more quickly. You identify distractions before they consume your focus. And because of that awareness, chaos loses its ability to control you. You begin responding with greater intention. Your actions become more deliberate. Impulsive decisions become less frequent. While others around you may still feel overwhelmed by pressure and uncertainty, you remain steady. Not because you possess more information, not because you know something others don't, but because you have trained yourself to think more effectively. Clear thinking does not remove challenges from life. It simply makes those challenges easier to navigate. It allows you to move forward without losing your sense of direction. In moments of chaos, the person with the calmest and clearest mind usually gains the advantage, not because they move faster, but because they see more accurately, and clarity is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Chapter 7. Train your self-talk. There is a voice inside your mind that never truly goes silent. It comments on your actions. It interprets your experiences. It explains your failures. It predicts what might happen next. Most people never question this voice. They assume it is telling the truth. and that assumption quietly shapes the course of their lives. Your self-talk is not merely commentary. It functions as instruction. It tells your nervous system how to react. It directs your attention. It influences whether your body tightens under pressure or relaxes into control. If that voice is chaotic, negative, or hostile, your behavior will eventually reflect it. Training your self-talk is not about becoming endlessly positive. It is about becoming accurate. It is about becoming intentional. Untrained self-talk tends to be emotional. It exaggerates reality. It generalizes isolated events. It turns temporary setbacks into permanent conclusions. I always fail. This is impossible. I'm not made for this. Statements like these may feel natural, but they weaken action before action even begins. A trained mind avoids absolutes. Instead of dramatic conclusions, it provides clear instructions. This feels uncomfortable, but it is manageable. This will require patience. Focus on the next step. The difference is significant. Your mind follows the language you give it. When language becomes unstable, thinking becomes unstable. Most people try to change behavior without addressing the language driving that behavior. That approach rarely lasts. Behavior follows identity, and identity is reinforced through repeated self-talk. If you consistently tell yourself that you are reactive, your mind will search for evidence that supports that belief. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are disciplined, your behavior will begin aligning with that expectation. This is not blind affirmation, it is conditioning. The human mind tends to believe what it hears repeatedly, especially during periods of stress. Stress lowers mental defenses. It reveals the beliefs that have been rehearsed the most. That is why self-talk must be trained before pressure arrives. When stress appears, you do not rise to occasional positive thoughts. You fall back on familiar internal language. Much of untrained self-talk is inherited. It comes from parents, teachers, peers, past experiences, old failures. Because these messages are familiar, they feel true, but familiarity is not proof of accuracy. Accuracy requires awareness and intention. The first step in training self-talk is paying attention to tone, not content. Tone. Is your inner voice impatient, harsh, defeated, anxious, urgent? The tone of your self-talk shapes your emotional state. A harsh tone creates tension. An urgent tone creates panic. A defeated tone drains energy and initiative. A trained inner voice sounds different. It is not excessively kind. It is not cruel, it is clear. And clear language produces clear action. Instead of saying, "This is overwhelming," a trained mind says, "This is complex. Break it into smaller parts." Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," it says, "Handle the next requirement." These changes may appear minor. They are not. They redirect attention. And attention determines behavior. Dramatic language looks for escape. Instructional language looks for execution. Execution creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Another common mistake is using self-talk as a tool for self-judgment. People tell themselves, "I should be better by now. Everyone else handles this better than I do." Comparison weakens self-command. A trained mind separates identity from performance. Mistakes are corrected. They are not used as evidence of personal inadequacy. Correction creates growth. Self-criticism creates stagnation. Internal attacks do not improve performance. They exhaust the mind. A person cannot lead themselves effectively while constantly being attacked by their own thoughts. Training self-talk means becoming your own authority, not your own enemy. Authority establishes standards. Criticism creates fear, and fear distorts thinking. Strong self-talk is directive rather than emotional. It focuses on requirements rather than feelings. Instead of asking, "How do I feel right now?" it asks, "What is required right now?" Requirements are objective. Feelings fluctuate. This distinction becomes especially important after setbacks. When failure occurs, untrained self-talk often spirals. "I knew this would happen. Why do I always do this? What is wrong with me?" These questions rarely produce useful answers. A trained mind asks different questions. What specifically failed? What can be adjusted? What remains unchanged? These questions create learning. Learning prevents repeated mistakes. Repeated mistakes without learning create discouragement. Learning creates progress. Self-talk also determines resilience. When difficulties appear, the inner voice either escalates the problem or stabilizes it. Escalating language adds unnecessary pressure. Stabilizing language restores control. I'm falling behind creates urgency. I still have time to choose correctly creates space, and space improves decision-making. A trained mind protects internal space even when external time feels limited. Consistency is another essential element of self-talk training. Many people speak to themselves differently depending on their mood. One day they are encouraging, the next day they are defeated. That inconsistency creates instability. A trained inner voice remains consistent. It does not swing dramatically between extremes. It maintains the same standards regardless of circumstances. It sounds similar on successful days and difficult days. That consistency creates trust. When you trust your inner voice, action becomes easier. You stop doubting yourself in the middle of execution. You stop constantly searching for reassurance from others. That independence is a form of strength. Self-talk also influences how you interpret other people. If your internal voice is defensive, you will see threats where none exist. If your internal voice is grounded, you will see information rather than attacks. This affects relationships profoundly. Many conflicts begin not because of actual events, but because of the stories people tell themselves about those events. Most people want guarantees before taking action. They want proof before making an investment of time or energy. Life rarely offers those guarantees. Progress rewards participation, not certainty. People who continue showing up without guarantees eventually gain an advantage. Because consistency compounds. Small efforts repeated consistently create momentum. Momentum simplifies execution. Once momentum exists, continuing often becomes easier than stopping. Stopping interrupts rhythm. Restarting consumes energy. That is why uninterrupted consistency matters. Many people underestimate this principle. They believe one missed day has no effect. Sometimes that is true, but repeated interruptions prevent momentum from building. A trained mind protects continuity rather than perfection. Continuity is what matters. You do not need flawless performance. You need repeated presence. Presence creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces resistance, and resistance is usually the real obstacle. Resistance appears whenever effort feels unnatural, but effort feels unnatural when it happens inconsistently. Once behavior becomes routine, resistance begins to fade. This is why routines are powerful. Routines remove emotion from action. You stop deciding, you start executing. Execution requires less energy than constant decision-making. Showing up also changes your relationship with boredom. Most people see boredom as an enemy. A trained mind sees it differently. Boredom is often the doorway to mastery. It appears when novelty disappears, and many people mistake that moment as a signal to stop. In reality, it is often the moment they should continue. A trained mind does not see boredom as a signal to leave. It sees boredom as evidence that depth is beginning, and depth is where mastery is built. When the excitement of something new fades away, distractions begin to disappear. What remains is the work itself, and staying committed to the work after the excitement is gone is what separates growth from stagnation. This principle applies everywhere. In your career, in your training, in your relationships, in your personal development. People who walk away the moment boredom appears usually remain average. People who stay long enough to move through boredom discover another level. They develop depth, they develop mastery. Showing up consistently also teaches humility. You stop expecting every day to feel exciting. You stop demanding emotional rewards for every effort. You begin accepting a truth that many people resist. Meaningful progress is often quiet. Quiet progress is sustainable. Loud progress attracts attention, but it often burns out quickly. A trained mind prefers sustainable progress over dramatic progress. It values stability more than recognition. That preference protects focus. Focus improves quality. Quality compounds into reputation, and reputation creates opportunities. But none of those benefits arrive unless you continue showing up. Showing up consistently also strengthens emotional regulation. When your actions remain consistent, emotions lose their ability to dictate your behavior. You feel tired and continue. You feel uncertain and continue. You feel unmotivated and continue. That consistency develops emotional resilience, and resilience weakens fear. Fear survives through avoidance. Every time you avoid action, fear becomes stronger. Every time you act despite discomfort, fear loses influence. This is not courage in the traditional sense, it is exposure. Repeated exposure teaches the nervous system a valuable lesson. Action is safe. As that lesson becomes familiar, anxiety decreases. Reduced anxiety improves performance. Improved performance builds confidence. Confidence encourages further action. Another reinforcing cycle begins. A cycle that turns effort into habit, habit into identity, identity into results. Showing up also changes the way you approach long-term goals. Instead of obsessing over outcomes, you focus on participation. A simple question becomes your guide. Did I show up today? Yes or no? That question is within your control. Outcomes are not always within your control. Attendance is. This shift reduces unnecessary pressure. Pressure often creates paralysis. Attendance creates movement. You stop obsessing over future results. You begin investing in the process. And process-oriented thinking is mature thinking. It reduces emotional instability. It develops patience. Patience strengthens endurance. Showing up consistently also changes how others see you. People trust reliability. They trust individuals who continue to appear when expected. Reliability creates credibility. Credibility creates influence. Influence creates opportunity. Opportunities are often given to those who have proven they will not disappear when things become difficult. Talent attracts attention. Consistency earns responsibility, and responsibility creates growth. This principle applies everywhere. In professional environments, consistent individuals advance. In relationships, consistent individuals earn trust. In personal development, consistent individuals transform, not rapidly, but permanently. Showing up also weakens excuses. Excuses thrive when consistency is optional. I missed yesterday, so today doesn't matter. That reasoning only works when attendance is negotiable. When attendance becomes non-negotiable, excuses lose their authority. You stop explaining, you stop justifying, you simply act. And that simplicity is freeing. It eliminates internal conflict. Internal conflict consumes energy. Energy preserved becomes energy available. Over time, showing up becomes part of your identity. It is no longer something you force, it becomes something you naturally do. At that point, discipline begins to feel lighter, not because effort disappeared, but because resistance decreased. Life itself does not necessarily become easier. You simply become steadier. And steadiness is one of the most underrated strengths a person can possess. Steady individuals are rarely flashy. They are rarely dramatic, but they are consistently effective. They do not surge forward and collapse repeatedly. They continue progressing. And progress accumulates. Years of consistent effort create results that appear sudden to outsiders. From the outside, it looks like overnight success. From the inside, it feels inevitable. That sense of inevitability is earned. Showing up no matter what is not dramatic. It rarely feels heroic. Most of the time, it feels ordinary. And that is exactly where its power lies. Ordinary actions repeated consistently create extraordinary stability, and stability is one of the greatest advantages available in an unpredictable world. You cannot control every circumstance. You cannot control every outcome. But you can always control one thing, whether you show up. And those who continue showing up again and again eventually succeed in situations where others disappear. You have now reached the end of this audiobook, but the real work is only beginning. What you have listened to over these 70 minutes is not theory. It is not motivation. It is not temporary inspiration. It is a framework for training. a practical system for operating under pressure. Many people spend their lives searching for answers outside themselves. They look for better circumstances, better timing, better opportunities, more motivation. But the true advantage has always existed internally. Control over reactions, control over attention, control over behavior when emotions fluctuate. Throughout this audiobook, you have explored 8 essential principles: winning the inner game, choosing discipline over feelings, remaining calm under pressure, controlling reactions, building mental endurance, thinking clearly in chaos, training self-talk, showing up no matter what. These principles are not separate. They support each other. Together, they create a complete system, a system designed to keep you grounded in situations that overwhelm others. This system does not require extraordinary talent. It does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Consistency in your thoughts, consistency in your responses, consistency in your actions. That consistency gradually becomes identity. And identity is far stronger than motivation will ever be. As you continue forward, resist the temptation to apply everything at once. Training does not work that way. Choose one principle, practice it intentionally. Pay attention when emotions attempt to take control. Notice when urgency pressures you into rushing. Notice when discomfort encourages you to quit. Those moments are not interruptions. They are the training itself. Rather than resisting them, use them. Pause, breathe, choose. That simple sequence creates space. And inside that space, control returns. You do not need to eliminate pressure. Pressure is part of life. What you need is greater capacity. Capacity allows you to carry more responsibility, more uncertainty, more challenge, without losing clarity. That is mental strength. Mental strength is quiet. It rarely announces itself. It reveals itself through actions, through restraint when reacting would be easier, through consistency when quitting would feel justified. Over time, those choices compound, not dramatically, reliably, and reliability wins more often than intensity. If there is one lesson worth carrying forward, let it be this: success does not come from waiting for perfect conditions. Success comes from becoming the type of person who remains in control when conditions are imperfect. That control is not given, it is trained. Train your mind every day, not only when circumstances are easy, not only when inspiration appears. Train it when it matters most, when emotions rise, when pressure increases, when outcomes remain uncertain. Those are the moments that shape your future. As you return to your daily life, remember this: you may not control every situation, but you always control your response. And when you control your response, you control your direction. That is how success is created. Not through luck, not through chance, through training. Train your mind consistently and you will be prepared for whatever life presents. Before moving on, understand one final truth clearly. Mental training is never finished. It is maintained. Just as physical strength fades when training stops, mental strength weakens when discipline disappears. There will be days when everything feels aligned, and there will be days when nothing does. The purpose of training is not to eliminate difficult days. It is to prevent difficult days from controlling your behavior. This is where many people return to old habits. They practice discipline when life is calm, then abandon it when life becomes chaotic. But chaos is precisely when training matters most, when routines are disrupted, when pressure increases, when emotions become louder. That is when you return to the fundamentals. Control your breathing, slow your reactions, simplify your decisions. Show up regardless. You do not need to do more. You need to do what consistently works. Mental training is cumulative. Every act of discipline strengthens resilience. Every moment of restraint strengthens authority over yourself. Every time you act without waiting for emotional permission, you reinforce identity. And that identity carries you through moments when motivation disappears completely. There will be times when nobody notices your effort. Nobody praises your consistency. Nobody recognizes your restraint. That is normal. Mental strength is built privately. The reward is not applause, the reward is stability. Stability in thought, stability in action, stability under pressure. And that stability changes how life responds to you. People trust you more, challenges feel more manageable, decisions become clearer, not because the world became softer, but because you became stronger in the right way. You did not become rigid, you became grounded. That